So I'd love to ask you a couple questions about AI and artificial intelligence to wrap up, because you alluded to it. I actually, the common person probably knows the story from Deep Blue on, but you were saying essentially you were integrating computers into your chess training even from a decade earlier. I'm curious. You're known for the Kasparov principle, which is essentially that humans plus machines plus superior processes will beat just humans or just machines. Where do you see that? AI is much wider, I think, than we're aware of, but where do you see that being applied in the world? Like, where do you see, as somebody who's been following this for so long, where do you see AI, the most interesting applications of AI these days, or what do you see as that principle in action?
Look, first of all, I have to say that, I'm always taking my stand against the army of doomsayers that predict the end of humanity, because you have all these Terminators, Matrix, and all God knows what, sweeping us away. Machines made us stronger in the past, made us faster. Intelligent machines will make us smarter. I believe it's about promotion, not about elimination. So, but we have to know how to use it effectively. And the idea of the Kasparov principle is that it's when we look at every problem, so machine will do most of the work. And we have to recognize that we belong to last few decimal places. So what? It doesn't hurt my pride, so machine knows many things better, but I can make my unique human contribution because I know what matters most. That's the human advantage. As long as we recognize that we have creativity, and this creativity basically could be boosted by machines. The problem is, so much of the modern world now is based on the jobs that do what work. It's 4 or 5 years ago, McKinsey did a report on US job market, and they found out that looking at working time, 96% of the working time in America requires only medium human creativity. That's 4%. It's amazing. It's only 4%. So this is just what about us? Doing something the opposite. So this is I say this it's these 96% of jobs. I would call them zombie jobs. They're just dead. They just don't move yet. So for so many years, we complimented people saying, "Oh, he or she works like a machine." Now that's a curse. And I think that now it's time for us to understand that it's for each specific problem we will have a machine, and the trick or the art will be for us to understand what this machine is missing for this problem. No matter how powerful AI is, there's still limitations for machines. Machine will dominate any closed system. You create a closed framework, any game, chess, Go, Shogi, Texas Hold'em, poker, Dota, StarCraft. The moment you do that, bingo, that machine will do a better job. But machines, and I see not a shred of evidence, machines cannot transfer data from one closed system to another closed system. If you train a computer playing one StarCraft map, and then you want to use this knowledge for another StarCraft map with a similar characters, you have to start from scratch, unless you have a human who can actually help us to transfer the knowledge. So it's a challenge, but so it's as everything in our life is about trade-offs. I don't want to sound callous because I always joke that I was the first human being who had his job threatened by a computer. Yeah. So look, it's you cannot beat them, join them. So I see so many opportunities for us to advance, start game of chess or anything we do if we recognize our shortcomings, but also our indispensable advantages and our uniqueness in these relations. I'm an optimist, and I think that the future can be really bright because we can realize our wildest dreams. And by the way, machines cannot dream even in sleeping mode.
Fair enough. Not to always try to pose a sort of negative question, but I'm curious. You just mentioned this closed systems, and one thing I think about with AI is that you've heard the saying that data is the new oil. And when you think of the companies that have the most data and the most power, you're talking about Google, you're talking about Amazon, you're talking about Microsoft, just these giants that are just, and it seems like with AI, it makes it all the harder for anybody else to catch up to them because they just start with all that data. And I'm curious how you think about that just from as people, not, setting aside investing stories or anything else, as people just, are there risks to this sort of centralization among companies? Are there risks to the Facebooks of the world dominating AI development far beyond even what governments can do? Like, how do you see that?
Look, for the last 5 years, I've been working with Avast Software as a security ambassador. So I wrote dozens of essays on privacy and security. So we could probably run another interview. If you're interested at one point, I'm more than happy to spend a good hour with you giving this information. But you can look at my essays on these topics, on my social media or Avast blog. I just don't want to squeeze it in a few minutes now remaining for this interview. Again, happy to do another one just specifically on that because it's so important. The simple message is, if you generate data, somebody will collect it. That's something that people just don't recognize. There's no way you can avoid, your data being collected because it's somewhere there. So now the question is, what happens with this data? And you talked about Google and Facebook. That's one story. But don't forget, you have undemocratic countries where the data is being collected without any GDPR offering you some level of protection. And you're right. It's just the data isn't oil. It's a fuel. I would say it's fuel, but you still need a good engine. So that's the problem now for many corporations in America and Europe. It's this: they don't have the same access to raw data as Chinese companies. So that's why I think the GDPR, with all the benefits it offers, it also created obstacles for the growth of the AI industries in the free world, because it puts them in a very disadvantaged position. So as for the Googles and Facebooks of this world, I have been very critical of them. I'm not sure that simply doing what Americans did with Standard Oil 110 years ago would be the trick. But this is something that we should consider. I think one of the problems, and again, I refer to my articles, is there's a triangle, as I put it in. You have government, you have big tech, you have the public, and we're all connected. And I think the relations with this triangle are so complex. And unfortunately, with all this big talk, I think the public is yet to understand what we demand. Yeah, it's fine. Talk, we need more security. But working with Avast, I know that the most popular password is still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the second one is from 1 to 9. Thank you very much. So this is, if you don't follow the elemental rules, so what do you expect? It's somebody else, your sugar daddy, to work for you. So it's a big story. And again, it's all about trade-offs. It's this. Unfortunately, public is much less concerned practically about these issues than you hear. It's about noises. So I think it requires a serious debate. We've yet to actually enter this phase.
Great. We'll have to save the date for another conversation because
yeah, absolutely. So be my guest.
My last question for you is: are you an investor in crypto? Are you in your personal?
Yeah, I put my money where my mouth is.
Okay, very good. So you've got Bitcoin, you've got Ethereum, you've got all the biggies, I imagine.
Yeah, and I expect it's a good growth in this account after the sales.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, and okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Garry. I really appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
This is fun. Bye bye.